The following podcast contains adult themes and adult language. Listener discretion advised.
And although we joke, if you or someone you know is affected by or a victim of domestic violence, dial 1-800-799-7233 or visit the National Domestic Violence Hotline's website, thehotline.org.
But it's always the husband, it's always the husband, it's always the husband. I don't keep bed.
Hi, everybody. This is Sarah.
And this is Megan.
And you are listening to It's Always the Husband podcast.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Hi. I hope if you're living in the Midwest as we are, you may be able to tell by our horrible accents.
Yeah.
It is negative 300 degrees here.
It is.
And literally we can't go outside without anything that has moisture freezing. So Sarah's crotch is literally frozen.
No, because mine's so dry.
Oh, yours
It's
is dry?
tumbleweeds.
Oh, that must be
so
mine.
it's perfectly protected.
TT was supposed to have a bladder surgery today, so hers, but it didn't go through. So hers is wet. I mean, hers is literally frozen.
Queen of the
piss.
beehive.
Yeah. The piss is frozen, and Tiffany has to stay indoors. It's fucking cold.
No, you go outside and you die.
Yeah, you do.
That's how it is.
Yeah, but I'm here and recording. So
Thank you. I'm glad. You did.
are a little under the weather.
I am. I am.
So
Because I have the immune system of a Victorian 1812 boy, young boy. That's the immune system I have.
Yeah.
He's always sickly and he has a cane, a little wooden cane.
Yeah.
And he tries to play stickball with the fellas and he can't.
He's too weak.
Yep. He can't. That's me.
He's weak.
He's too weak.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And the rest of the United States is pretty cold, too.
Yes.
Even in the South.
Because hell has frozen over.
It did.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome. If this is your first time listening, this is a true crime podcast, but not really, because we are silly and we talk very inappropriately and we barely research the crimes at all. But we'll tell you a story today, and we'll try to be funny.
We try.
Yeah.
We do have a Patreon again.
Who could it be?
Jacqueline Baker or Jacqueline
Jaqueline?
Baker. Yeah, Jaqueline
Baker.
Baker. And I think she might be from Australia because there was an A by her monies. We like those people.
We sure do.
They're very funny and very sweary.
Well,
so they're
have
my
to
people.
Be. Yeah, they have to be funny because giant spiders live in their homes.
They're brave.
And
they're brave and tough.
Muscular kangaroos beat the shit out of them every day.
And they're good looking people.
They really are.
All
and
of
they
them.
also have jellyfish the size of my baby nail, the irukandji that kill the shit out of people. So they have to be funny.
But our just outside kills us.
Or they'll die. Yeah. That's how
their
we're
outside
funny.
is great.
Yeah. It's a tropical paradise.
But we also have something called our glitter in the shitter, something that gets us through our shit ass week.
If you don't know us, we just basically live in the doldrums of hell.
Yeah.
And we try to find something that makes us happy every week.
We do.
What was yours this week?
That's our grateful journal, the one thing that gets us through.
Yeah.
Mine, I saw the movie called The Substance. Have you heard?
The Substance.
Demi Moore won the Golden Globe for it.
Okay.
It's a horror movie, so you probably
of course you would like it.
not.
Okay.
I loved it because it's a horror movie.
Yeah. Okay.
But
it is like a good one.
It's
like
very good.
Like a cinematic.
It's very. It's very weird too. So I loved that because I like weird horror, and it's gory as fuck.
Really?
And
who else is in it with her?
Margaret Qualley.
Okay.
Dennis Quaid.
What?
And I can't think now, but a few others where you're like, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. But it's also about just women and the way we think about ourselves and how we think the world sees us and how we have to act to present ourselves to the outside world. And it was just absolutely just amazing and bizarre.
Did you go to the movie theater?
No, I just saw it on my...
You rented it?
I rented it.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
It was, Demi Moore was amazing. And Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley were naked the whole time, 80% of the time. Naked top to bottom.
Why?
And they showed him with pubes, and I said, I swear to God, none of those, they don't have pubes.
You think
they were naked the whole time.
CGI'd pubes on them?
Well, they just tape them on. What? But
okay.
I swear to God, they were naked the whole time. But they had to be for the plot.
Clothes?
They didn't have them on yet. No, if you see it, I mean, it's you. I don't know. Well, yeah, I won't see it, but people might hear.
Yeah, don't tell.
But it was. I mean, it goes with the plot for them to be naked, like it had to.
Okay, well, do you think she'll win an Oscar?
I don't know. I thought she was amazing
because she won the Golden Globe.
I mean, she'll be nominated for sure. She was so good, and she was funny, and but you also wanted to like cry for her, and I mean, she brought everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It
was great. And it was so bloody. It was so bloody. Like horror, like just...
Like worse than the Statue of Liberty's period?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, my, yes.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
That's not really for me. But
it was great.
I'm glad you loved it. So I'm going to take my glitter in the shitter in a totally different direction.
What?
There's no blood or horror
or
involved.
pubes.
There's no pubes. So I realized on Saturday night that I was sitting at home alone with my kids, and I was doing my nails and drinking a glass of Prosecco all by myself. I had cleaned the kitchen. I had like a clean counter, and I thought, this is what old people do.
Kind of.
And me. Saturday nights. Yeah. But I bought the Dashing Diva gel stick-ons.
Oh. You have lovely narrow nail beds too that are perfection.
I do have nice nails.
You do.
And I don't like to go to get them done at the salon because I don't like the damage that happens. But I also don't wear polish a lot because it chips off all the time. And I'm still like Laura Ingalls Wilder, where I still do my dishes by hand. Like not my plates and stuff, but I literally do dishes every day. I wash my pots and pans I never put them in the dishwasher.
Well,
I don't know why. Lottie fucking da, Megan. Cool. But I just do. I don't know why. So I really like these. They stuck on really well. They're supposed to last for 14 days. I've had them on for 3.
They look nice.
And they look perfect still. I got them at Target. So I think you can get them at basically anywhere. But the brand name is Dashing Diva, and I'm all in.
Yeah, I can't use them because mine are as wide.
You have really
as
wide nails.
Yeah.
So you would need
I would need
10
big
thumbs.
big fat Tony's nail bed nails.
Yeah,
these I would need toe. all toe, all big toe.
Thank you.
Oh, and then they would say, "Ma'am, please leave."
I'm sorry. Do you make these in all big toe?
Yeah.
No, we don't. So that's mine.
That's cute. Nice.
I kind of like them. Yeah,
they look very pretty.
Thanks.
And then we also have an Instagram you can follow, a Facebook group. I've been shit-ass bad about putting stuff on there, and it is my goal to do better, and I've already failed at it, but I'm trying to get better again. At it.
You're under a lot of stress. It's also for us at the deodorant factory, it's the end of our term.
Yeah.
So catch me this week.
Yeah. Again, it's
not
a job
talking
where
to any deodorants.
an iron boot.
Yes.
Goes right up in the crotch.
Only correcting late work. Thanks for not doing the work on time. Sure, I'll correct it at home when I'm supposed to be cuddling my family. Okay.
I don't do that shit. Fuck it.
I just had to take a drink.
Anyway, we have a Facebook group where people are lovely. They ask for advice on things. They can comment on the episode, correcting us when we try to do math, which is lovely.
We had a hard time.
Oh, I should be ashamed, but I have no dignity.
I am never ashamed. I'm just like, yeah, we really fucked that up.
Oh, did we ever? Or they'll put funny things on that entertain us.
Yeah.
I liked Sally Wren Snyder.
Okay.
So I guess you can, fancy people, because I live in a shit house, but fancy people can have a door that sends them messages on your watch when people come to the door. Like, hey, bitch, someone's at your door. And this lady changed her door from named your door to your anus. So she gets messages that say someone's at your anus, or is her husband does. There's movement at your anus. Stuff like that. A package at your anus. So I thought that was funny.
No one wants a package at their anus.
No. A big package at your anus.
Hell no.
I thought that was pretty funny. And it was the wife that changed it.
That is good.
Yeah. I would have done that totally.
Yeah, that's something we would do.
Of course. And that would make me giggle every time.
And my husband would be like, ugh.
And then I liked how Heather Bell put, when the Three's Company, Jack Tripper had, and of course Janet and Chrissy had a party, but they put the Beastie Boys over there.
Yeah.
And it matched.
It did, and it matched the rhythm.
It did. I thought I laughed and laughed.
I got really sad after I watched that about John Ritter again.
I know. I know, because he's my favorite person.
I'm still not over it.
I never will be. And Pa Ingalls.
I know. Michael Landon.
Yeah, even though he's a blues hound and kind of sexist.
And
I love him to death.
Like
smoked 40 packs a day. I love him.
Like, I feel like that's, I mean, it was expected, but I think that's why John Ritter is so sad for me. Because he just, it was out of nowhere.
I'll forever love him.
Yeah. Sorry, John Ritter. So I had two. One made me laugh, not because we drink Jaeger, but because it reminded me of literally every girls' trip we go on. So Jess Odos put the meme of a woman doing yoga, and her head was, she was like on her knees and her head was down to the floor, and it said yoga master. And then the next picture below it was of someone face planting in a parking lot, and then it said Jägermeister.
Yes.
And that literally makes me think of every time we have a girls' night, because someone falls embarrassingly.
Yes.
Uncontrollably.
Absolutely.
Drunkenly.
Of course.
And there's no grace.
Oh,
there's no I mean,
it's in front of others.
Plant. And correct.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, every time, whoever it is, we kind of all take turns. You usually keep it together.
Yeah, but when I do something bad, it's always over the top.
It's really
finally explodes.
It's really bad. Yeah. Like when you smash the cake.
Yeah.
But this, like when we went out for your birthday and we were supposed to be fancy.
Yeah.
Tiffany fell in the parking lot.
Of course.
Because she couldn't walk in her shoes, and then it was winter, and she walked back to the hotel with no shoes on.
It was kind of warm.
It's November.
She's tough.
Yeah.
She's got those hobbit feet.
I think she fell off the bus that time.
Yeah.
I fell off a landing.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's us. And then other thing, I liked this because I wanted to share it too, but Wendy Taylor put the video of those ladies going on a trip in the airport, and
funny.
they all had to have shirts. And of course,
they were dirty shirts.
Yeah, some of them were really dirty, and
I would die of embarrassment.
I know you would, but of course, the first one was ask me about my explosive diarrhea, and that just hit home to me.
That would have to be yours.
That would have to be me.
Yeah.
So I liked that
was so
too.
funny.
So thanks, ladies. You made me laugh this week.
They were good.
Again, if you have Facebook, just go ahead and find our group. It's called It's Always the Husband Podcast Group, and just ask to join. And we are not discerning at all. We just let everybody in, as long as you have a sense of humor.
Right. You have to not be offended by things because certainly you're going to see everything.
Right. So that's it. And then, of course, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't know where else.
Yeah.
Mostly just listen to our podcast.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Should we start?
Let's begin. This needs to come with a content warning.
Of everything? Of all of them?
Of literally
everything?
Get ready for the grossest shit at the end of this.
Yeah. Think about, what's that Australian bitch?
With the abattoir.
Yeah. What was her? Catherine Knight.
Yeah. We
Catherine
talked about her on a Patreon episode once.
But people maybe know about her if they're true
crimes. So
crimes.
just think about that and enjoy.
Yes. So this is another Meet, Marry, Murder. And this is one that was, because it's a British show that got Americanized. And this is a British version.
Okay, I wondered that
because they were American versions, and this is just a British one that got thrown in the mix because it's all Brits.
Yeah.
So, and they all had different British accents.
They did. There was a lot of dialects.
So this was season 1, episode 26, and I was drawn to it because it's called Dix.
It is. It's called Dix.
Dix, but it's Dix.
But still, you say it the same,
right?
And then we laughed.
So it's about Glyn Dix, and they always say Glyn Dix, like Glyn Dix, like it's a cleaner. Clean your windows with Glyn Dix.
Yep.
Glyn Dix. They never just say Glyn or Mr. Dix. Glyn Dix.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth with Glyn Dix.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1997. It's in
Gloucester.
But then there's something that looks like Gloucestershire.
Yeah, but they kept
then
saying
they said
Gloucester.
another Gloucester, and that was spelled differently. I don't know.
Okay.
Gloucester. It's probably the same. They have long words for little sayings.
Yeah.
So we have Hazel Denver. She's a mother of 6.
That's too many,
God
Hazel.
damn it. And she's 47.
Yikes.
God damn it, Hazel. It's 1997. And Hazel meets Glyn Dix, Mr. Dix, through her son. So it's like, okay, my son knows him. My son likes him.
Cute.
You know, he's setting me up. He's like a super good buddy of my son.
Now, drop it.
They're in jail. The son's in jail and Glyn Dix is in jail. Prison.
Not just jail. Prison. They are prison cellmates.
Yep. So
I literally had to rewind it. I was like, what? Wait, what? And then I rewound it. And I was like, oh my God, they are in prison.
Yep, they're in prison. So she's getting set up with her son's friend. But they're in prison. And they're friends because they ain't got nowhere to go because they're cellmates. They have nowhere else to talk to. Now I thought, oh shit, what did her son do? And what did this Glyn Dix do?
Yeah.
So we see a psychiatrist, and I liked her. Her name was Emmy Kenny. Why
don't I remember who she was?
She had the long hair and the newspaper shirt. Her shirt was newspaper.
I liked that. Yep, I liked her too.
Well, I'll get to her later, but I guess Adam, the son, was in for just driving offenses.
Now,
is that like parking?
I don't understand why you would be in prison.
In prison for that. I don't know if that's hardcore, Gloucester, England, because Glyn Dix is in for murder. Why are they in the same cell? What the hell here?
I am confused. I hope we have someone who listens.
It lives in Gloucester.
Yeah.
Gloucestershire. And tells us why you put a parking offense with a murderer in the same cell.
Why?
What the hell's going on?
Why?
So anyway, Hazel thinks Glyn Dix is handsome. Now, Hazel has severe glaucoma. She puts Vaseline on her eyes daily when she wakes up because this bitch is the opposite of handsome.
I laughed, and they kept showing his profile, and all I could think of was The Simpsons.
Yeah, because his nose goes to the neck. There's not a chin.
And he had no chin,
No.
and he looked just like, what the fuck is the old guy's name?
Grandpa?
No, not Grandpa.
Oh, Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he totally...
That's all I could think of.
He did.
I know.
Oh, shit. No, so Hazel is like, I don't know why you would think that this man is great, but Adam liked him. He's like, he's a great guy.
He's my best friend.
You know, he's super cool. This is where Emmy Kenny, the psychologist, comes in, and I guess as they're talking and she's visiting Adam, Glyn Dix, she said, sold her a dream. He's like flirting with her, you know, convincing her that he would make a great partner, kind of loving her up, or maybe, you know, as she's visiting, maybe just I guess complimenting her, making her feel super special, and she's just getting this feeling from him like, oh my gosh, this guy is really, you know, makes me feel great when I come to visit.
I mean, all I can think of is the plexiglass had to be terribly scratched up and
yes, it was blurry,
distorted.
I'm sure
for her to
think this was a
buy
handsome
it.
man.
I mean, I still can't imagine being able to even get past the plexiglass. Like, we're talking through plexiglass.
Right. To notice that
don't give a
he's
shit
in prison.
what you say. You're in prison.
Right. That I'm
Thank you.
trying to date this man that is in prison.
You know, they wrote each other letters.
So yes, now they become pen pals, and not like the book Pen Pal, because that's a goddamn masterpiece. And
your favorite.
I would screw that guy in that book
1,000
times over.
Okay.
Without question.
Okay.
Mr. Burns, I would say I'll pass. He is not pen pal.
Yeah, no.
So they're pen pals. She is loving this guy, and he is telling her again that he's going to be this great partner. She's awesome,
and
they're great together.
And when she finally gets around to asking, like, well, why are you in the slammer then? He just says it's a miscarriage of justice.
Right. So Glyn Dix is at year 18 of a 20-year sentence. So in England, that's like super bad. Like 20-year sentence would be for the worst stuff.
My God.
They said that punishment is usually handed down for the most heinous of crimes. And I don't know if I like that word heinous or not. But they said heinous a lot. But Hazel didn't give a 1 shit, 2 shit, 3 shits, 4. She was still all in. And she didn't know this heinous crime from whatever heinous crime. And then we see Jane Mockney Smith. And why do all these English they all have 2 names? And what if a 2-name marries a 2-name?
Then you get a 4-name.
It's like Jane Mockney Smith, Strawberry Conan Doyle. They all have it. But she was a professor of criminology, and they both had said brilliant takes on it, I thought.
Yeah, they were spot on.
And this lady had tattoos on her tits. Did you see it?
Yeah,
she had tits tattoos, so she was cool.
I thought she was wearing black and navy together sometime.
I think so.
Yeah.
And she had, but since Hazel obviously will trust her son, she sees that her son is this trust and friendship and belief in Glyn Dix. So she's like, well, if my son thinks he's cool and trusts him and they're close, well, my son wouldn't be friends with a weird fucker.
But Hazel, your son's in federal prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but my son
Just
knows
parked
him and
illegally once, and that's it.
and thinks he's a good match for me and knows him really well because they are cellmates, and obviously they're close, real close. So she trusts Adam's opinion and again is all in. So Hazel, after a few months, tells everybody she's in love with Glyn Dix, and she loves this Dix, and they're getting married.
Now, I would like to bring back something that we basically started our podcast with.
Yeah.
When somebody in prison asks you for your hand in marriage.
I'm going to stop you there because my father was in prison. Asked my mother for her hand in marriage. And that is the truth, so continue.
Oh my God.
And look at me. I'm totally normal.
Unless you're Sarah's mom.
Mom and Dad, you're fucked. That's why I'm real close to this story. And I know these two are fucked.
You were like too close. If someone in prison asks for your hand in marriage, I think you need to say, Sir,
I'll pass.
Sir, no. Let's bring back Sir, no.
Yeah, let's bring it
Sir,
back.
no.
So Hazel then still is not quite sure what this Glyn Dix did. But he tells her that
it was a misunderstanding.
What he did was he shot and killed a young woman named Pia Overbury. And we'll tell you what happened. But he tells her and Adam that he is in the elite army. Again, this is Mr. Burns.
Yes.
And that he was involved in some sort of altercation. He doesn't explain again. But he wakes up. So did he get knocked out or did he altercate and go to bed? He wakes up with a shotgun in his hand and a dead woman in his bed. Did he pork the woman? Did the woman just go to his bed and die?
It's like James
Did the man altercating with him pork the woman and shoot her and put him in his bed? Why does the elite army have to do with this? What?
Again, no one asked.
No one asked any details. She said, that sounds about right. I'll take it.
That's terrifying.
That sounds normal. I'm sorry that happened to you. Okay. So he says he was framed. It was all a total BS lie that doesn't even make any sense. Because I would be like, what? None of that makes sense, you dicks.
You know what? Hazel didn't care.
Yeah. Hazel believes it totally. And so this is what Emmy Kenny says again. You buy into the narrative you want to believe. Mm-hmm. She wanted to believe that this man was going to be good for her because she wanted to have a man.
I guess.
And she fell in love with this man. And she wants to believe that, okay, this is the story. He's not a bad guy. This happened to him. And he's this great guy. I want to believe him.
My son loves him.
And we're going to go for it. Okay. And she believed in all of this. But what actually happened is we go back to the 70s, and this is where Glyn Dix was living in Gloucester.
And
he was
younger.
He was younger, and they showed a picture of him younger, and the handsome doesn't come younger. The handsome is still far, far away.
No.
On a planet far, 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 far away.
If you thought that he just had turned ugly with age...
No.
That would be...
No, you would look at this man and he looks like... I don't know, like the teacher from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
But he looks...
Or a young Mr. Burns. It's never good.
A young Mr. Burns. Yeah. He actually does.
Yeah.
So he lives in a shithole, pretty much. He lives on the docks. He's not a dock walker.
With the dock walkers.
I mean, he's not a dock walker, but he should have been.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really have a job.
No.
And so Pia Overbury is his landlord. And she goes to his house every week and says, "Can you pay your goddamn rent, Dix, you dick?" And he says, "I don't have it," and then acts like a weird fucker and makes faces and does weird shit. And she's like, "Oh, okay." It goes back week after week and asking for the rent, and he never has it. And she'll bring her daughter sometimes because they said this. And then he acts like a weird, like he does strange, weird behavior, like making weird faces and like doing shitty stuff.
They never really said what he did, but you can imagine that it was probably something perverted.
And they couldn't tell if he was just crazy or if he was just shitty.
Yeah.
And he was like creepy gross. And so she had to go around to these shitholes trying to collect rent from these shitty men. And I'm sure that was just fucked. And Glyn, of course, didn't like that someone was coming around and demanding that he give her money, and he didn't have it. And he didn't like that feeling of being bossed around for money. And like, I would have to get a job, get money to give you, when he could have just walked those docks right next to his apartment, and he didn't. But I mean, no, who would have picked him up? No one, unless you are severely blind. And I don't know the size of this package in this Dix. I'm thinking it's not great. So Glyn decides the normal solution, instead of getting a job, getting some money, and taking care of himself and being a normal guy, he goes and buys a gun illegally. The Brits were very concerned about the gun, the illegally having a gun. They were very concerned of people having guns. While Americans are like, "I got my free gun with my pap smear." They were very horrified about having this gun. Horrified.
Yes, as many of our listeners in other places are. Probably not so much here.
No, here you just walk in the street and you trip over a gun and fall down.
Yeah.
But Glyn buys a gun, as you would do, instead of just getting a job and paying your rent. So then October 2nd, 1979, Pia Overbury disappears. So she has a cafe job too. She's not there. Her daughter Maxine, it's her goddamn birthday. So she's trying to find where her mom is. She goes to her work. She looks around for her. She can't find her anywhere. So that same day, her husband goes to the police and says, "My wife is missing." And for 2 weeks, well, first of all, who was the detective? I didn't get his name. There was a detective guy talking to.
That was the lawyer with the big eyebrows.
Yes. This was the detective guy who was the narrator.
Oh, yeah. I remember him, too.
But he says, now, remember, it's 1970s. And he says, there's no computers. There's no phones. No digital trail. No CCTV. People were living in their own filth. Like, we know.
Still are, also.
I mean, it's like, that was for the youngs. Like, of course we remember the 1970s. You didn't have this shit.
Yeah.
But he's going into detail like, yes, we get it. We're old. But, he took a very long time detailing, like, there were no phones. Well, duh. But then I guess so many youngs don't realize that there weren't phones. Because they don't. They think there were always phones.
Right.
But they had zero leads for about 2 weeks. And then we see this old bitch pouring tea with a tea cozy on her tea kettle. It was kind of cute. A knitted tea cozy. This old bitch's name is Mary Redvers, and she lives at Hartpury.
Yeah.
And she goes on and on talking about some forest of Dean. I guess Robin Hood or something lived there. I don't know. But it's a famous forest called Carter's Grove, and it's old. Who knows?
Yeah, it's ancient. Also, Mary, all I could look at was her bra.
Was ill-fitting.
Was very ill-fitting, and you could see it. It looked like she was wearing like a Kim Kardashian triangle bikini.
Yeah, without the nipples.
And someone should have given her a little more support.
Right. They should have.
But what happened to her was horrifying.
It was.
Sure. Okay.
And thank goodness for her.
Not to take away from Mary's story.
So Mary goes in this wood where Robin Hood lived, and takes her kids. And it's
Robin
October.
Hood, little John, walking
she was
through
doing
the
that. And she was singing that
forest.
song.
Yep.
And she's out there with her kids. I don't know what she's doing. Showing shit to her kids.
Yeah, she's like, look at it's a twig.
Yeah.
How many ducks are in the pond?
Yes. And doing
Oh
English
my
stuff.
God, there's a dead
Yeah.
body.
Exactly. And she says, I saw the legs first, and then I saw the head. And then I took my children and I ran for it.
I said, children, don't look. There's something. What did she say? There's something like dastardly.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the word was, but I was like, oh.
So she grabbed her kids and split. She calls the police. So they come, and it's Pia. And she had been shot in the face with a shotgun, this fucking asshole. And Gloucester is 5 miles away, so not that far. And he just brought her into Robin Hood's forest and dropped her. So police go and speak to her tenants because they figure that's the people who are going to be pissed off at first.
Right.
And they speak to Glyn Dix, and he denies everything, and they kind of let him go, and he's not on their radar at that point. And then police do a finger search in this forest on their hands and knees, just roaming around with their fingers. Cripes.
I know.
But they find Pia's purse and a 410 cartridge from a shotgun. I don't know. But because of that cartridge, they tracked the original owners of the shotgun. I don't know how the hell you would do that. And so they go to the original owners, and these owners say, we sold it to some dicks called Glyn Dix. And they actually remember Glyn Dix. The police go back to the apartments, and Glyn Dix is gone.
Right.
He's done run off.
He did.
And this is where the show says Dix was feeling the pressure. Dix couldn't handle this.
He was about to blow.
Dix had too much stress. We've all been there, Dix. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
So Dix freaks out, I guess, and takes an overdose of who knows what, and he ends up in the hospital. So while he's in the hospital, he's acted such the fool, like erratic and fucked up and strange. They put him in the psych unit. And this is where we see Dr. Coyd, who's a psychiatrist. And he says he starts showing all these symptoms of schizophrenia, delusions, hearing voices, and the stressor of the police knowing he murdered someone. Stress is a huge activator of schizophrenia. Well, this huge stressor of murdering someone and being caught instantly, they say, activated his schizophrenia. But he was already a weird bastard before that.
He was, and schizophrenia, especially in men, manifests late teens, early 20s. And
Right. He had probably had these symptoms, and this just blew it wide open.
Yeah, he was always off.
Yes.
And
You're off if you buy a gun and shoot your landlord.
You are.
Yeah.
He was
or you're
mentally
making
ill. Yeah.
weird faces and being a pervert to their
He
daughter.
obviously couldn't live in society. He couldn't function as he was
couldn't
living
have a job.
on the docks. Yeah.
So police question Dix, and he confesses right away, and he says, I'll bring you to the gun. Yeah, I did it. And then he says, but it was a contract killing. Pia hired me to kill her husband, and then I had to kill her because her marriage was such shit.
Yeah, and they were
and
like,
the police are like, no, that's not, none of that's true. None of that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And so they say like pathological lying is a part of schizophrenia, but it's also a part of being a sex pervert too, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's part of being kind of sometimes a husband. And the delusion, they thought he might have actually believed that. I mean, he obviously killed her because she was collecting his rents, but once he told that story, he could have actually then started to believe that delusion.
Of course.
So then it's July 1980. He says, I'm totally guilty in court. Like, I'm guilty. I did it. He gets his 20 years, and he can only get parole after he serves 20 years. And he does awesome in prison. He gets on the right medication. His schizophrenia gets under control, and he loves the structure of being in prison. He doesn't need a job, and he's getting taken care of. There's no stress because all he has to do is get up and watch TV and walk around and go to bed.
You get fed.
Yeah.
He
doesn't have the stress.
There's a time for everything.
Yes.
Somebody tells you what to do and you do it. He was given his medicine every single day at the same time.
Yes. Someone's taking care of him, and he's can do diamond art or whatever.
Yeah.
As much as he wants.
He's like, I'd like a diamond art of a cat, please. Can you get that for me?
And this is where we see his lawyer, Andrew Fisher, and I wrote, toupee!
And eyebrows.
Toupee. He had a toupee like Uncle Lewis from Christmas Vacation. This toupee was a toupee. A monster toupee.
His eyebrows
were two monster caterpillars. Yes. He actually felt for Glyn Dix, though, in his mental health, though. So he
did,
just,
yes. He didn't feel for him for doing the horrible thing.
No, but he knew he was
like,
fucked
this
up.
guy's fucking mentally ill.
Yeah. So Glyn Dix, he's doing so well on his medication. They move him to a minimum security prison, and this is where he meets Hazel's son, Adam, and they become besties. And at this point, he's pretty much totally symptom-free of his schizophrenia, and they declare him pretty much mentally well. Although he does not tell Adam or Hazel the truth about Pia.
No.
And I don't know if he ever told them about his schizophrenia or his medication.
Yeah. I think he didn't.
I don't know. And
is what they alluded to later.
They don't know if Hazel ever knew about his crime, the truth of it. I feel like she could have walked over to the desk and said, what did he do? But she might have just felt like, I'm in too deep now. I've kind of attached myself to this guy.
Well, probably like, I married this guy in prison. My friends told me not to.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have, but I can't step back on it because everyone told me no and I didn't listen.
Yeah. So the 5th of September, 1999, Dix gets a day pass and Hazel and Dix marry. And he looks weird as fuck on this day. He looks kind of like, like he's something ain't right.
No.
But they're married. He's in like a little suit.
So did they get married when he was still in prison?
Yes, he still had 2 more years to go.
Yeah. Okay.
So he goes back to jail. And it says her family was all like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're marrying this guy in jail for murder? And she's like, yeah. And so he does 2 more years. She, goes and visits him. But he gets out. And he's on a life license, I guess they call it, like parole or whatever. But if he does anything fucked, he goes back in. But he had been totally medicated and was doing really well. And so he seemed redeemable. And the system is supposed to redeem these criminals, get them well, or get them so they can function in society. And at that point, at 20 years, he was mentally well. He was taking his medication. He was married. He seemed happy. He seemed functioning. He had someone who was going to take care of him out afterward, had a family. And so they let him go. I mean, I guess that's the point of prison. You want to try to rehabilitate someone to go back in society and be normal, and that's what it seemed like he was doing. So they let him go because that's the information they had at the time. So he settles with Hazel on Seymour Drive, which means Seymour, they would have Seymour Dix. Seymour Dix. No, Jamie's mom with Jamie used to live on Balls Drive.
No.
So every time she talks about Balls Drive, I'm in the background like, Balls Drive. I can't stand it.
The house on Balls Drive.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's Balls Drive. And I just die on the floor. So they're at Seymour Dix Drive.
Okay.
And the neighbors are like, oh my God, they're the cutest couple. They're very popular. They look totally normal. There was no trouble between them. They looked like they were in a loving relationship. And for 2 years together on Seymour Dix Drive, they are like a perfect couple. He seems like he's killing it out there in the real world.
Killing it.
Yep. But the prison doesn't seem to be checking in on him or monitoring that he is even taking medication or monitoring that he's seeing a psychiatrist to refill and get medication.
No, nothing.
And so no one knows anything about this, and no one knows if Hazel even knows if he has a mental illness and is on medication or is monitoring his medication or giving him the meds on the right time. No one's checked on this at all. So Glyn Dix had stopped taking his medication. And over these years, so they were married 2 years
in jail,
3 years out of jail. So over these 3 years out of jail, he's going crazier and crazier and crazier, but it's like a slow slide. So the people are kind of like not quite sure because they're kind of saying, oh, he was in jail for 20 years. That's why he's a weird fucker. He doesn't know how this works.
Right.
He's really having a hard time finding a job because he's never really had a job. He has a hard time living with other people because he's never lived with other people. And he has monstrous schizophrenia. So schizophrenia starts to come back and it's getting worse and worse and worse. They're not sure to
and it doesn't really take long, right? Because he just stopped his medicine cold turkey.
Yes, I'm sure he did. I don't know if he was even given any out of the prison.
Right.
So they're saying his weird behavior is just because he was a jailbird.
And he didn't know how to transition between the structure and real life.
Yeah, but he's getting weirder and weirder. So it's Saturday, 19th June 2004. They've been married 5 years, but 3 years after his release. So Adam, and I guess he had a sister along, but Adam is just going to visit, his old pal Dix.
Because he's out of the slammer too.
He's out of the slammer too. And mom. And he couldn't get into the front door. And so he knocks on the door and no one's answering. And so he calls and Dix answers and he's like, hey guys, I'm coming to visit, but your front door is locked. Are you guys here? And he's like, oh yeah, we're here. Just come around the back. And so Adam goes to the back, but the back gate is locked and that's never locked. So he jumps over it. And so Adam comes around in the kitchen window. When you walk through the back, the kitchen window is the first thing you see. So he walks by the kitchen window, and when he looks in, he sees total carnage. Dix is naked, and that alone would probably traumatize anyone for life.
Mm-hmm.
But he's naked, covered head to toe in blood. Tools are everywhere, covered in blood. So Adam is thinking, is he skinning a fucking animal in the kitchen? So he opens the door to the kitchen, and as he's trying to understand what he's seeing, he realizes he's seeing his mother's severed head staring back at him. Like, I feel like then your sanity just goes bing and snaps. How do you stay sane in that moment?
I don't know. But I couldn't believe the next part.
Yeah, so...
Because he goes into the house.
Yeah, he walks into the house because so his mom's head is sitting there looking at him. Dix is there naked with like a knife in his hand
and scissors, and there were all these.
So yeah, Dix had killed and dismembered Hazel, his mom. Adam walked right in the middle of him finishing the job, dismembering her. Mm-hmm. So her body parts were scattered about the kitchen and some were in some garbage bags. Dix is in the kitchen, sees Adam and says, we had a little argument. And so Adam, who I'm sure is now in like a state of complete insane shock and wondering, is he going to now kill me?
Yep.
And realizing his mother's been murdered and then watching his sanity fly away into the sky, runs out the door. He gets the police, and they're there within minutes. Dix just hangs out naked with his dicks out naked, bloody. Like, it's totally a normal day. The police come in and are like, hey, guy, how's it going? And so Dix explains that they had an argument over a TV program. And I thought, were they arguing about Dallas and she wanted to watch Who Shot JR? And he said no.
It was probably 90210 because it was in
1980.
Oh,
or
wait.
no, it's 2004.
2004.
That's right. I was thinking. No, she wanted to watch. I looked it up. She wanted to watch wrestling, and he wanted to watch football.
Oh no.
But Dix said, we were fighting over a TV. And then he said, but she liked things tidy. So that's why he was cleaning up. Mm-hmm. So he killed her. And then because she liked things to be clean, he was going to dismember her body and take it out in the garbage and clean up because she liked the house clean. But you killed her. Like, she wouldn't care after that.
According to Wikipedia, which is always right.
Yes.
He chopped her body into 16 pieces.
Yes, with knife, hacksaw, scissors. 12 different tools. Mm-hmm. So they take Dix into custody. He also removed heads, hands, feet, arms, legs, put her heart in the freezer so he could preserve his wife, took out her liver and kidneys. He was, I guess, before this happened, he had become obsessed with the devil. So he took Hazel's hands and cut off the two middle fingers so that her hand was permanently in the Satan's salute, it's called. It's like the spider, if you do the Spider-Man.
Oh.
So if you're doing what Spider-Man does,
that's
and you bend
Satan. Oh,
and that's Satan's
like a
horns.
devil horn or something.
Yes, it's called the Satan's salute, I guess. And he cut her hands in that, which is fucked. And then he had done, which in the show they show these fucked creepy ass paintings all over their goddamn walls, like wall mural sized. Well, one was Stonehenge, and he did this. Well, they said it was on summer solstice, and it could have, yeah. So people do weird shit on summer solstice,
I guess.
And then one was like a creepy ass dragon.
Yeah.
He had fucked paintings. And then he was obsessed with the Book of Revelations. And doesn't schizophrenia have like a religious kind where they're obsessed with religion, a certain schizophrenia?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are obsessed with Revelations because it's all about the end of time.
Well, I thought there was a religious element to a certain schizophrenia type.
I don't know.
But then the occult and
do you want me
Satan,
to look it up?
I thought, yeah, maybe. And so all of this, and so people... So some I read online that they wonder did he plan this to murder her on the summer solstice, or did he just fucking freak out about the football? I don't know, because he was getting crazier and crazier. If Jamie started painting the Stonehenge on our wall in kindergarten, like painting, I'd be like, I think you're nuts. And then a giant dragon, I'd be like, what the hell is that, Pete's dragon? What are you drawing?
So this, in my research, which means I just Googled it, there is a common report of people with schizophrenia that they're possessed by demons, God is talking to them, they're divine or they're prophets. So it seems to be some of them experience religious delusions. So it's like a thing that sometimes happens, apparently.
God.
A common symptom of schizophrenia.
So Dix's toupee lawyer gets involved because he's obviously in prison again. He wants a new psychological report because the latest one was from his parole from 2001 where it said he's totally fine. And his lawyer's like, clearly he's nuts.
He's not.
Yeah. We need a new one. Because that one says he's normal, and this behavior is not normal.
Again, let's go back. Sir, no. Let's reevaluate him. Yeah.
But Dix is I guess he maybe got back on meds once he got into the prison, because when he finds out what he did, he, I guess, is super upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's what they're saying. He's like, Jesus, I butchered my wife. Holy shit. But he's just like, I'm guilty. I shouldn't ever get out again. Like, I'm done. I don't want any.
And they wanted to like slow it down and give him the mental illness kind of defense thing. But he was like, nope, I don't want it. I did it.
Right. And they're like, we know you did it, fucker.
Right.
But maybe you need to be in a mental hospital
instead of prison.
Right. So that you don't kill prisoners or something. You know, just maybe you need to be somewhere where you're medicated appropriately. But he was just like, nah. So they actually go to court, and his lawyers are trying to get him an insane plea.
Yeah.
But he stands up in the dock, because they put him in like a box, don't they, over there? I don't know. We need to have a foreign English call in. And he says, hell no, I'm guilty, and you put me in jail.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay. So he gets life for the rest of his life in prison, which I guess they don't ever do, because he's like the second person that ever happened to. Bitches over here get that all the time.
Okay, I have like research on this after you're done.
All right, so then he's never getting out. But then they realize he is fucked in the head, and they put him in a hospital. And then the show said, I believe that Dix ended up in the right place. And I thought that was funny.
Dix did.
But horrifyingly, Adam dies 10 years later because the trauma of seeing that event horrified him so much that he was so traumatized, and then he started taking like amphetamines, and that ended up causing some health problems and some. I mean, he just was. You can't come back from that. Like sometimes,
No.
I mean, you just
No.
And Dix died in 2014.
And also, I'm sure he felt terrible.
Well, he felt guilty because he hooked him up.
Yes.
Oh, I mean,
Poor
the poor
Adam.
man.
He just maybe parked illegally once or twice, and
Who knows?
Just
Maybe he
ruined
ran
his
over a
whole
couple
life.
of kids or something. We don't know.
I
but
don't know either.
The poor man. I don't know how you could see that and not just have a complete meltdown.
No, Glyn Dix died when he was 60.
Yeah, that's young,
So
but
he was pretty young when he died
He was
too.
fucked in the head and needed help.
He really was. Now, here's the thing that's a little bit different from the United States to
England?
the United Kingdom. Okay, so in the UK, I'm taking this from Wikipedia again, because when we
That is
say
the learned.
that we are not well researched,
we
we're
believe
fucking
it.
telling
We
the
mean
truth.
it. We mean
okay?
it.
We're taking our medication, and we are
We
telling
take our meds,
the truth.
but we still doesn't make us
We're
smart.
so crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
So it says that in the UK, prisoners receive a whole life order, and it used to be called a whole life tariff. Okay?
Why do they use such fancy words?
They are very fancy, and we could only wish to be that
Right.
fancy and that learned.
We can only wish, because it'll never happen here.
So, but most of the time when people are even convicted of murder, they're not given life sentences.
No.
They're given usually 20 to 25 years. There are only a list of like 100 people since 1983 who have ever actually gotten a whole life order or a whole life tariff. And this says in 2023, there were believed to be more than 70 prisoners currently serving whole life sentences in England and Wales. So, and some of them on the list, like every single one of them is on Wikipedia. You can look it up. But some of them, it looks like, some of them had already served their sentences for other murders, just like Glyn Dix.
And they went out and did it again.
And then they did it again, and then they got a whole life order.
Are they mental too? I wonder if that.
I mean, it's all sorts there's one lady in 2023, Lucy Letby, who murdered 7 newborn babies and attempted to murder 6 others. Well, she was a nurse in the NICU in the hospital. So that's completely brutal. Some of them, like this guy murdered a 71-year-old woman, but he had already killed 2 other people. One was his brother. He killed his brother, and one other person served his sentence, was released, and then killed the 71-year-old. Some of them were, they're all murderers, but they're like murder rapists.
Well, we have,
but
way more than that.
We do. I mean, the United States is bigger than the UK. I don't know by how much, because again,
way bigger.
I'm not learned, but I mean, it seems like we're always like, I mean, there are states obviously that do death penalties still.
Well, they used to hang the shit out of people.
Yeah, right. And that isn't. They did. Out of people. They did.
You're guilty, and we're going to hang the shit out of you on Tuesday.
And it's going to be tomorrow. Yeah. And then they did it.
But wait, can I at least?
Can I try to appeal this? No, bitch.
Well, this sticks needed to be put away.
Yeah.
And he knew it. At least he was smart about that.
He knew it when he was well, but when he was not well, he fucking was.
No, he was a total danger.
Yeah, he was a danger. He was a menace to society.
He was. And you would have to, there's no way to make sure he would take meds every day.
Right.
He's like a sickness where you need to be somewhere where someone is making sure you're taking pills every day.
Right. Oh my gosh. So that's our story. If you've made it this far, I want to remind you of a fun thing that's happening next Tuesday, which is our book club. It's going to be Tuesday, January 28th. If you're listening in real time, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you have to do the math depending on where you live, because we don't know how to do it. And the book club link for Zoom is on our Facebook group page. So you have to join the group in order to get the link.
And I say I could put it on Instagram, and then I forget because my brain is poop.
It is poop.
It's little and it's full of poop.
We are discussing this month the All the Colors of the Dark. Literally one of my favorite books of all time. I can't even believe how much I love it, and I still think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Book Thief, All the Colors of the Dark.
Yeah, Book Thief tears out your soul and pisses on it.
I mean, I'm thinking of my top 5.
Yeah.
Like I loved it that much. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you've read it, or if you want to read it, it's a longie.
It is long.
But it's very compelling. You read it in 2 days, didn't you?
Well, I read 30 pages at the first night, and I was too tired, and I read the whole rest of it the next day.
I think it took me like 4 days, maybe.
But then I had a whole day to just sit on my ass. So.
I literally did it on a Saturday too, where I was like, nobody bother me until I finish this fucking book, because I love it so much. And my mom's reading. My mom's in Mexico right now, and she just texted me and was like, "Oh my God, I know what you're talking about. I'm reading the book. It's so good." So join us, unless some 2 people feel bad because they don't like it. I don't want to make people feel bad.
No, it's everybody has their own opinion. You don't have to be like
books. Me. I loved the vampire.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Murder
you
book
and I
too.
Rarely agree on anything.
Yeah.
And so
it's true.
It's if you don't like, you hate most things I like, and we're used to that. You can. It's okay if you don't like something.
Yeah. And I picked this book.
We rarely agree on a lot of stuff, and we both. I know. I had to know. I had to read it. I couldn't stop.
I loved it. Okay. So, anyways, that's happening Tuesday, the 28th. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends.
Or rate and review. We need those too.
Yeah.
Share us. Take the on your podcast and share us into your friend group text too. That helps.
We would love it. Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah.
And bye.